What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com CEO, MTS Nutrition. Now, I've been training a long time. In fact, I competed in powerlifting from the ages of 19 through 20 years old in the APF in California. Now, in my days, I've done a lot of training. I've trained as a powerlifter. I've trained as an athlete. I've trained as a bodybuilder. I've even trained as a boxer. I've trained as a model, which is pretty much just normal training as a bodybuilder. Hypertrophy, lean body mass, it's all the same. Powerlifting's a little bit different. The one thing I'm seeing across all modes of training, from bodybuilding to everything, in the gym, especially in hardcore gyms, you don't see this as much at like an LA Fitness or something like that, right? Is you see people overcomplicating training. For example, reverse band squats. Essentially, is to take weight off of the bottom of the lift when the band is eccentrically extended as much as it can, providing force pulling up, to where at the top, it's going to be heavier because the band is not providing that support at the bottom. Chains, where as you get to the bottom, again, same effect. It's going to have more chain on the ground, and the higher you go, the more resistance you have because the more chain you have. All different ways of loading different parts of the squat. However, I see this being done by people who aren't powerlifters or even elite powerlifters who need to use this. Now, I've heard people say, including powerlifters, that unless you're squatting 600 plus pounds, this is decently unnecessary. I don't think that there's any advantage to adding bands or chains to people who lift decently, relatively mediocre weights. And let me explain. If you're only squatting 225 pounds, I don't see a need to put reverse bands that add, 45 to 50 pounds of support. The way I see people progressing and the way we progressed when I powerlifted before Westside came out with these different conjugate methods is we did what everybody does. We progressively overload. We add weight to the bar. When we hit stick points, we use different techniques to get past those, be it doing partial reps or even stepping back where, let's say you're maxed out at 225 for 8 reps, you drop it down to 185, you work your way back up, and neurologically you're recruiting different fibers and you're building back up where you usually will surpass your old stick point. What I think people doing, especially those seeking hypertrophy who are lifting as elite powerlifters would using the conjugate method, is they're just overcomplicating things. Sure, it might add a little bit of weight, but at the end of the day, you're not a powerlifter. You're a bodybuilder. And I don't think that bands or chains are going to make a noticeable difference. Will it make a difference? Maybe. Is it worth the extra effort to put the bands and chains on the bar that you could have been spent doing, extra cardio or perhaps extra sets and reps or even more recovery between your reps and sets? Probably not. Here's the deal, guys. Unless you're an elite powerlifter or striving to be an elite powerlifter and you've maxed out the way you can progressively overload without bands and chains, and every little pound counts, because at the end of the day, totals for elite powerlifters are really close to one another, most of us just need a few variables. Number one is consistency. Most people I see doing these advanced methods generally are almost always newbies I see. People get in, they read about Dave Tate and how awesome he does things, and I think he's the best of the best of the best. However, not for a bodybuilder looking to maximize hypertrophy, or even a power lifter who's not at that level. Consistency is key. I guarantee you, if you keep bench pressing or squatting or deadlifting or overhead pressing for 4 to 6 years, when you hit stick points, either taking a step back and working your way back up or utilizing things to enhance that lift. Like, for example, I know that over at Quad's gym, I know Cone uses some things like, for example, Pendlay rows to aid in deadlifts, different things to maximize that. If you do that for 5 to 10 years, you're going to make incremental linear gains over time. So that's consistency. Another thing is progressive overload. By either overloading with reps, weight, volume, sets, frequency, those are things that will help you build muscle. The number one way to increase lean mass gains is progressively overloading one or two variables, or one or more variables. Whether it's increasing reps, sets, load, frequency, or whatever that variable may be, progressively overloading your system will lead to better gains, and lead to more gains, and lead to consistent gains throughout the tenure of your bodybuilding or powerlifting or simply fitness life. Basic lifts. Basic lifts are where it all comes together. Like I've said in videos before, if you want a really strong core and chiseled abs, pick up some heavy ass weight and press it overhead. I credit Eric Cressy with that paraphrase. Squats, core, legs, hamstrings, you name it. Deadlifts, posterior chain, legs, back, even arms. Traps, Pendlay rows, your back, your core, chest as an antagonist, biceps, and of course any kind of press, be it a dumbbell bench press, a barbell bench press, a machine press, any of those, especially one that's free. A dumbbell or a barbell activates everything from your lats, to your delts, to your core to stabilize, to your pectorals, to even your quadriceps and glutes to keep your body stable. Bottom line is, you don't need to get overly complicated with your training. You need to be consistent and focus on the basic lifts and adhere to basic principles of progressive overload. What's the best split? If you're looking at overcomplicating things, there's so many different splits. What I found works great for most, and this is even simpler than the exo split I recommend in my 12-week trainer, as I'll link down below. What I recommend there is an upper push, lower push, lower push, up, lower push, lower pull. So yeah, that's it. So basically, you're doing one day, you do a quad dominant push, which would be a press, a pressing movement, shoulder press, bench press, tricep press downs. Your other day will be a lower body push, squats, leg press, things like that. Then you get to pulls, where you're working your upper pull, pull downs, rows. And then you get your lower pull, which will work mainly posterior chain, deadlifts, hamstring curls, things like that. But for most, what I find to work best is a push-pull leg split. A push-pull leg split works anywhere from 3 to 6 days a week of training. You basically do push, which is your bench press, your shoulder press, your tricep press downs, pull, back and biceps, then legs, squats, straight leg deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, whatever it is. And then you either take a day off or you repeat it. I find that's the sweet spot for frequency, overload, and all that good stuff. And if you only get 4 days that week, you've trained your entire body at least once. There you have it, guys. My opinion is, if you are at the pinnacle, you've hit a stick point, you're an elite powerlifter, yes, use those complicated training techniques, reverse bands, chains, whatever. But for most, simply progressively overload and be consistent, and you're good to go. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. Comment down below, and of course, click on the link in the description box below to see my 12-week trainer, including diet, which is key. That's not a game. Be sure to like this video and, of course, subscribe to this channel and click on that bell so you know when I'm uploading more epic stuff just like this.